Once upon a time, in a world lit by candles and navigated by the stars, the brightest minds gathered, not in Paris or London, but in Baghdad, Damascus, and Córdoba. It was a time when the language of progress was Arabic, and the engine of discovery was faith-inspired curiosity. Let's rewind the clock to the 7th century. The Arabian Peninsula is about to experience a transformation. With the rise of Islam under Prophet Muhammad came not just a spiritual revolution, but a profound shift in worldview. The Quran itself repeatedly calls on believers to think, to observe, to reflect. And this core value, seeking knowledge, becomes the foundation for a golden age that will stretch across continents and centuries. As the Islamic Caliphate expanded rapidly, reaching from Spain in the west to India in the east, it didn't just conquer land. It absorbed, preserved, and elevated knowledge from the Greeks, Persians, Indians, and more. Fast forward to the 8th century. Enter the Abbasid Caliphate and the birth of Baghdad. Picture this, a vibrant city rising from the desert, becoming a beacon of knowledge in just a few decades. And at its heart? Beit al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom. Imagine a place where Muslim, Christian, Jewish, and Zoroastrian scholars sat side by side, translating Aristotle, Plato, Galen, and Ptolemy into Arabic. It wasn't just translation, it was transformation. They questioned, tested, corrected, and expanded on these ideas. And this wasn't done in isolation. It was state-funded, celebrated, and publicized. Let's dive into the mind-blowing innovations of the era. Medicine? Ibn Sina, or Avicenna, wrote The Canon of Medicine, a book so influential it was used in European universities for over 500 years. Mathematics? Al-Khwarizmi introduced the world to algebra. Yes, the word algebra comes from his book Al-Jabr. And his name? It's where we get the word algorithm. Astronomy? Muslims built observatories, charted the heavens, and corrected Ptolemy's geocentric errors. They even created precise calendars and astrolabes, essential for navigation and prayer. You might not realize it, but every time you calculate interest, consult a doctor, or even use a computer algorithm, you're echoing the minds of the Islamic Golden Age. But it wasn't just science. This was a civilizational renaissance. Architecture? The Great Mosque of Córdoba and the Alhambra in Spain still leave visitors breathless. Literature? 1001 Nights gave us Scheherazade and Aladdin. Poets like Rumi and al-Mutanabi reached across time with their words. Philosophy? Thinkers like Al-Farabi and Averroes bridged the gap between faith and reason, sparking debates that would later influence European thinkers like Thomas Aquinas. It was a time when science and art weren't at odds with religion. They were inspired by it. Let's zoom in on Córdoba, in Muslim Spain, Al-Andalus. While much of Europe was grappling with feudal chaos, Córdoba had paved streets, running water, 70 libraries, and the largest mosque outside Mecca. This wasn't just a city, it was a symbol that you could have a society built on knowledge, tolerance, and elegance. It's no coincidence that many of the earliest translations of Arabic texts into Latin happened right here, planting the seeds of the European Renaissance. But, like all golden ages, this one wasn't eternal. So, what happened? Several factors played a role. Internal political fragmentation, invasions, most notably the Mongols who sacked Baghdad in 1258, a shift in priorities, from open inquiry to more conservative theological thought, and let's not forget, Europe began to rise, borrowing, adapting, and eventually surpassing. The lights dimmed, but the knowledge endured, transmitted to the West, preserved in Latin, and reawakened during the Renaissance. So why does this history matter? Because it reminds us that civilizations thrive not through isolation, but through curiosity, tolerance, and openness. The Islamic Golden Age wasn't just a Muslim achievement, it was a human one. a chapter in our shared story of progress. And perhaps, as we face our own challenges, climate change, polarization, technological upheaval, we could use a bit of that Golden Age spirit, to ask big questions, to learn from others, to believe that science and spirituality can coexist. The candle of knowledge was lit 1,000 years ago. It's up to us to keep it burning.